Hello and welcome to another episode of Stanton Gossip, where Mr. Masochist and me just talk about stuff that happened around, well, mostly media that surrounds our citizen. We watch a lot of that, and we want to share some of it with you. Some good, some bad, some agreements, some disagreements, and whatnot. Yeah,
As
and
per usual, lots of disagreement.
yes, and we want you to share yours with us as well. We usually say this at the end, but keep in mind we are open for like more content. Always, there's never enough. There's never enough Star Citizen content, especially in times of drought like this one, where the game is not just giving us enough. Please do share if you find a nice video. It doesn't matter if it's like artsy or informational or a small channel, a big channel. Yeah, anything works.
Or juicy tweets, juicy gossip.
Yes, I like tweets.
It's the name. It's in the name.
Yep, yep.
And yeah, if you're watching this, absolutely, we'd appreciate you giving us a like and a subscribe. We are a pretty new channel still, and even though we're just doing this for fun, it is kind of fun to
Feels
see.
good, man.
See the numbers go
Growth
up a
is
little
a
bit.
good feeling.
We've had some new subscribers actually pretty recently, so that's one of you. Hi, thank you,
Thank you so much.
and yeah.
Okay, so speaking
Um,
of our subscribers, you can open up with our last episode of Straight Out of Stanton.
right. Yeah. So I suppose this isn't really gossip, but like on our last episode, we were kind of talking about theaters of war and how a large part of the community, at least that we've heard from, seems to think that game modes like theaters of war, arena commander, star marine, I guess, though I don't know why. Anyways, should be something that's like accessible to pretty much anybody, free to play, and specifically we said like a standalone thing. And we had a particularly insightful comment from one of our viewers who mentioned actually that whose name is Darmath, and he mentioned that the whole multiple games under one license thing is actually what one of the reasons that spawned the whole Crytek lawsuits. And I thought that was a really good point because I didn't even think
We
of it
didn't,
that
yeah,
way.
it
But
didn't even cross our minds at all.
yeah, so what he was kind of saying is like if CIG tried to do a standalone module that anybody could, so essentially a separate game for things like theaters of war and stuff like that, Crytek would probably just open up their lawsuit again. So yeah. Anyways, I thought that was interesting because that's something neither of us thought of, and definitely makes us kind of amend our standpoint on that to an extent. Anyways,
Because you
I
can
still
probably
think,
find a way
yeah, like
to
I think
squiggle it
if
around.
they, yeah, like if they made it so it's like still a part of Star Citizen, like you still get to it from the launcher and the main page. It was just something that was accessible to anybody with an account, as opposed to, for example, something like the Persistent Universe where you'd require, like a game package to be able to get
Yeah,
into. I think you could get around the I think you could get around the
for sure.
uh
Uh,
stuff. But
yeah.
anyways, yeah. I thought that was a good comment, so I wanted to shout that one out.
And thank you for like so many comments. It's so good, man. Feedback feels good. Good and bad. Doesn't matter. But feedback is important for us to get better and narrow it more down and what. Okay, so holy moly, we had a big. Well, first of all, there was right. This is gossip, so there was a lot of drama
Yeah.
to ease us into
Surprise!
surprise. Yeah,
There's
we
nothing going on in the game, and there's drama in the Star Citizen community. I know it's hard to believe, but it
uh,
does happen.
so just for those who did not listen to Straight Outta Stanton, where we mentioned this a little bit, because we're not gonna like go over this too much. Too much of this is like in the shadow. We don't know, but I think several players were banned, and then bunch more players were how do we call that?
Well, they were warned, and it was
Warned.
like a
Yeah.
really like broad blanket warning. Did
Yeah.
not look good. Apparently, a
Or
bunch of people were warned, even though they hadn't even been on in like months,
yes.
just because
And
they were part of an
Shadow
organization.
Moses organization, which is kind of crazy. And then there was a lot of drama. I'm personally against this unless there's like racial or sexist slurs or stuff like that, like where like that should never be in the game. regardless of if game is alpha or 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 fully launched or whatever. However, for people doing things in the game that the game cannot deal with itself in an alpha, I don't think you should ban people from it, especially because these are the people
Yeah.
who are backing your project.
And we already yelled at each other a bunch in the pre-show, so we've mostly hashed out the fact that we pretty much disagree on this. But I'm gonna say I disagree sort of, and I
What do
think
you though?
that and I
Don't
think
you
that
agree that the game
basically
should police it?
it should, but it can't right
Yeah.
now because it's an incomplete
Okay.
pile of shit. If
So
I'm being
that's
uncharitable,
yeah.
but like
That's where
this
we
is why
disagree.
like
Like
so this is like so for me like permabans. Okay, permabans shouldn't be on the table right now in an alpha, just period.
for
But like
gameplay,
for gameplay,
there's always
but
place
I
for
have
permabans for idiots who are using like racial slurs or something like that,
sure,
right?
sure, like
But gameplay,
grievous kind of like
yeah,
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 gameplay. Like I'm personally, if they're just getting like a couple days suspension,
3 months,
fine. I'm like I thought it was like 3 days.
3 months, the whole patch.
Okay, that's
That's
maybe a
rough,
little
man.
harsh,
Yeah,
but still, so long as it's temporary, I like I'm yeah, I'm okay with them kind of like doing that because they don't have the mechanics to police that yet. Police this whole like,
sure.
griefing, excessive whatever harassment thing yet.
I can agree to disagree because I see your
Yeah.
point as well. To me, I think it's okay for them to stand behind Alpha Vol as a developer and say, okay, we are working on this issue.
True. They
That's it.
use it for a lot of other stuff.
Exactly. I think banning people should be the last resort, but yeah.
Well, and I'll be fair here too. Um or well, I don't know what this has to do with fairness actually. I'm just going to say that people who are getting so angry that they're like, that they're wanting people to be permabanned or whatever in the state of the game right now need to take a step back and realize they're playing a game. So I will say that
In an alpha
like
of a game, even
yeah, exactly.
more, right?
Like for the most part, my response to everybody is just take a step back, chill the fuck out. Like it's a game and it's alpha. None of this matters.
We did not talk about this, but I'll bring it up. So our first topic is Salty Mike's answer call, which in my opinion was probably the best answer call so far because he brought
It was a star-studded cast for
up
sure.
crazy names in, and everyone had 15 minutes. No matter who you are, he would, he was a bit lenient with it, but like he will give you a minute to finish your thought and then cut you off. Like, sorry, Captain Burks, your hair
Yeah.
looks awesome, but bye,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was really, really nice because everyone had to prepare, and he obviously told them, before they did, like, I am going to, and then Noodle
Prepare
came with
your
the
shit.
notes, like everyone
Yeah,
came with the
yeah,
notes and all that. So it's really good. And something that most of them mentioned was that the amount of slurs, that is that the word, that comes from
yeah, yeah,
the under quotation victims of
yeah.
PvP or bullying in game or whatever, piracy or whatever it
Mhm.
is through the roof. And
Oh, it's
I
crazy.
am sure this is true because this happened to me as well. I used to bounty hunt, and even people who have crime stat and I kill them would go out of their way to explain to me that my mother should, well, let's
Yep,
not go into
yep.
details. Um and now when this happened, caused so much drama, a lot of people agreed that, and I've seen tweets already from certain streamers where they're like, okay, I never reported anyone for this, but from today,
Yep.
I am going to report each one last of you for any racial or any kind of slur that gets
Yeah.
to me.
Because honestly, like the shit that I've seen spewed in general chat just because somebody killed somebody is revolting and disgusting, and it absolutely should, like that's the kind of shit that should be reported because that is not acceptable behavior.
I'm
Full
not trying
stop.
to protect people who grieve. I'm just saying Some
You don't
people
talk
who,
like that. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Like that,
some people who
it
are on
is
the other side of the
inappropriate
fence
behavior.
are
Yeah.
damn crazy.
And you're right, man. Like most of the people I've seen who are being vile and breaking TOS in chat
Yeah,
are the people who are, the victims,
being
like you
killed.
said.
You know,
So,
it's
so yeah,
annoying. I know it's
who was it?
annoying, but that,
It was Captain Burks, I think, who said like, "Well, now the PvPers are pissed and they're going to report all this shit." And good,
yeah.
good. Like that. Like that's whether or not you're being quote griefed or killed or whatever. And really, like I said, it's an alpha game. It doesn't fucking matter. Switch servers,
Sure.
whatever. I mean, unless it's like egregious and people are following you around, in which case that is a breach of TOS. But you know, like, but spewing that sort of speech is a whole other level, and it's never appropriate ever. So,
I
anyways,
will.
that's my rant.
I will also bring one other thing that is a hot topic that, interestingly enough, no one mentioned because most of the people in this ATC are content creators, most of them.
Mm.
And that is, we streamers choose to go online. And as such, we get a lot of benefits, and sometimes we get punished for this. I don't think stream sniping should be against TOS.
Mm.
I personally am not stream. I chose not to stream EVE Online that I've been playing for years because I know the risk that I'm taking as a streamer of that game I cannot bear.
Yep.
And we had Captain Richard at the end, which I had to agree was brutal, where he said people would go so far that they would follow him in other games that he streams and continue disabling his content. And that is step too far. Okay, if you're
That
doing
is way
that,
too far. Yeah.
that should be reportable. However, if someone sees your stream and they come and kill you, you can have stream delay, you can hide parts of your screen, you can go full mode, your face, buy stuff somewhere and fly away and then bring the game back. There's so many tools that we have as
Mhm.
streamers. I will be hated by for this, but
I don't.
this
I
is
don't think so, man. Because
from
like
streamers. From streamers.
no, most of the people who were there who were streamers they were like, yeah, it's annoying, but they acknowledged that it was just
True.
part of it.
True.
The only person who was kind of like who was dead set against quote stream sniping was Captain Richard at the end, which
Mm,
in my opinion seemed pretty
you know who
pretty
was most against it? Salty Mike.
yeah, but even then he said like he gets triggered, but he realizes that like he's putting
Yeah,
himself out there,
but
you
he's
know.
pro, punishment against stream sniping, and
I think ultimately the stream sniping thing should be irrelevant. It should literally just be that constant harassment.
yes,
Like
and then
like why
before,
do you need to differentiate stream sniping? If it's constant
well,
harassment, it's harassment.
true,
End of
but it
story.
is a thing because CIG actually said this, right? They are
I know.
against
I
stream
know.
sniping, and
Yeah.
Twitch is as well. And before, because now I'm a really small streamer, so I'm not really targeted. I was targeted a couple of times, and it's funny for me. I don't care, but like I have experience of being stream sniped a lot in some other games back in the
Mhm.
days, and it's not fun, man. It's it's not fun. But I'll tell you one more thing: if you're getting constantly stream sniped, there's drama. People hear about you in community, and then people get there to see you being stream sniped, which brings you traction, which brings you money. It's not. It's really, I had benefits from being stream sniped in our games.
Well,
Just
I
saying.
would say Burks's reaction was probably the most measured to that thing. He said that frankly, people just say that he's really boring to stream snipe, and for the
Yes.
most part, he doesn't get
I
stream
think he
sniped
painted
anymore.
a target on himself with that.
Oh, probably. Yeah,
Yeah. I
probably.
heard that. I was
But
like, no, Brooks. He can
yeah,
deal with it. He has really good
but it is
community
true
that
though.
will
Like,
protect him. So it's fine.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
That if you have never watched Salty Mike stream or ATC, this was a really good one. if you have been PvP'd, if you are involved in PvP, yeah. Anyways, this was a good one.
And if you're brand new to Star
Oh,
Citizen content creation, you will meet so many really good content creators there. But keep in mind that Salty Mike is one off. It's a little bit different. Where his
mhm.
regular answer to the call is he's giving voice to the players without platform usually. So
Yeah, this was
this
different.
time was different because there was a huge issue that needed to be addressed, and they're not addressing it to fix it or whatever. It's just nice to see it from so many different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
From griefers' perspective, from grief perspective, from streamers, from non-streamers. Man,
And
that has so much value, that episode.
there was a lot of proposed solutions. A lot of them we kind of agreed or disagreed on, as far as being effective. But I think the one that jumped out to us the most as just being effective stopgap right now. When you spawn your ship, you're immune for 30 seconds after you take off, or something like that.
Yeah.
To avoid pad ramming. And
Especially as a new
like,
player, right?
yeah, I think that's the solution right there. Uh, you know,
I had my
you
own
can't
idea
you
though.
can't ram into anybody, and
Yes.
you can't be rammed, and that is, I think that's probably the most bulletproof one
For the current issue, right? Like I don't
for the
think,
current
yeah,
situation of the game. Long term, obviously they're going to have other
they'll have system
mechanics
for
to
that.
kind of
Yeah.
counter it, but yeah.
I had another idea just briefly that no one mentioned. Let's start because for me the most painful, like if you're trading and you see that there's a potential issue and you have a lot of ladder 19 in your caterpillar, what are you going to do, Maso? As a
What do you
trader,
mean?
where are you
I
going to
need
PO to sell it?
Oh God, no. I especially when the pad rammers were like really, really prevalent at Porto. I never went to Porto
If
to
you
trade
jump
ever.
if you jump to Lorville, you're immediately in Armistice and no one can kill you. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little bit more time, but also not to mention the around the corner from PO is Grimhacks with hangers.
yeah,
So there is a way. For me, pad ramming is rough for new players and getting their ships destroyed before they get to play the game. That's very annoying, especially with all the running and everything. And one of my ideas was also make the two starter ships, but only Aurora and Mustang, indestructible in ramming situations. Not like if someone shoots at you, obviously you should explode. But like, I would like something like that for now, like as solution right now, where you cannot deal damage by ramming and no one can deal damage to you by ramming. So because it can be misused if you're immune to ramming but someone can ram you.
yeah,
I mean, when you can ram someone, then oh boy, that would be a
yeah,
crazy shit show. So yeah. Anyways, great episode. Definitely check it out. One of the
yeah.
guests was morphologist. You want to go over that?
I really liked what he had to say, but honestly, most of what he said, he'd actually already made a video about, so there will be
Yes.
a link in the description for that. Oh yeah, that's something I didn't mention. Everything we talk about in these episodes will be linked in the description, so you can watch them. But
And you
Morph put out
should.
a yes, and you should. And Morph put out a video for PvP, and I thought he had some good ideas. Yeah, we've kind of both kind of agreed or disagreed on them, but but because I think in Morph's situation, I don't think he engages in as much PvP as like some of the other guests there. So some of
Not
his
willingly,
suggestions are
right?
possibly not super effective, but at any rate, the video is worth watching. And one of the ones that stood out to me as just a cool feature, whether or not it works to kind of like fix the quote PvP issue, is another matter. And that was the heat map. So basically, on the star map, you can kind of see where, spots on the map where player versus player kills are happening. And then if you are not a PvPer, you can work to avoid those. Or if you are a PvPer, you go, sweet, people are killing each other over there. Let's go over there. So maybe in a 50-player server, maybe it wouldn't work. But even in a 50-player server, I'd like to see that just because it's just something that, like it's more information and I like more information.
Yeah, and he brought up that this would be provided by what's the name? Satellites. What was it?
The Comrays, yeah.
Comrades, right?
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
you kill a Comor again, you can't see it, and it's a nice idea. I agree with that. It's something we have in EVE Online already, and it's very very useful. But I honestly think that it wouldn't make any difference in a 50-player server. Just like one other thing, like a lot of people are saying, oh, when Pyro comes out, that's the playground for PvPers, blah blah. Let me tell you one thing. And this will lead to the next stuff, right? I don't think that um those guys who are in question right now, who are saying that PvP is not good, they're not looking for dueling other PvPers in the verse. Some people are, like Noodle,
Yeah,
Burks.
yeah.
Some
Pretty much
people are,
everybody on that. Pretty
well,
much
I don't know about
everybody on the
Cutlet, for
ATC.
example,
Wow. Yeah, fair
right?
enough.
So,
Cutlet's a pirate. He's not a PvPer.
yeah. So a lot of these people are what you will call bullies, which is a perfectly fine and legit gameplay, in my opinion. This is something that's very normal in EVE Online, where probably later, when there's more risk for any kind of reward, you will see grouping up and killing smaller groups or single targets to salvage something while being 99% safe, right? And thinking a few steps ahead of how to escape and what not. So I don't think personally Pyro will bring any salvation to people who want to play that, because if it's too dangerous and just the only way you can do this is basically Jump Town, where if you go to Pyro to trade something, it has to be like freaking 50%, no, 100 times, 50 times more valuable, because you are risking, but like risking it and just going there to buy it for the risk is should not be a thing, because you should be smashed by players or NPCs, but you need to hire someone to protect. And in order to
Yeah.
hire someone to protect you, you need to earn enough money to pay these
Yes.
guys so that they have a reason not to do bounty hunting in Stanton.
This is something I mean, we'll talk about this off the air, but this is something I had an idea for maybe an upcoming podcast topic,
Sure.
actually. But yeah, I mean, you're right, and ultimately at this point, it may as well pay a ton of money to do something like that. But I mean, we've seen that it works. Like I was around during Jumptown. Like that's where people went. But the funny thing was with Jumptown, and this is something that will absolutely happen with Pyro as well. Uh, there were a ton of people who were Care Bears and were going to Jumptown, to get the money, and then would still get pissed off in chat when they got blown up.
That's what I'm saying. Some people will
So
go to Pyro thinking that they should be able to, and they're
exactly.
entitled to trade because they're traders.
Yeah.
And that's
And
not
they will
going to
still
happen.
get nuked and they'll be pissed. And no matter
Yep.
how many times people pointed out to them the fact that they were going to a place without an armistice zone that was selling illegal drugs and was like was notoriously a hotspot for PvP, it did not matter. These people were still crying in chat about it. So
I'm
I still
down.
think that that's going to be the case with Pyro, but I do think that it could, it will draw off the people who are down for kind of more legitimate PvP,
The problem
or even
is
group PvP.
if it's
like,
too good, then you will have people like Burks or Cutlet like just
sure,
taking the
they'll
whole
take over a
server.
server. Guess what? That happened with Jumptown too.
Well, that's the only downside of it for me.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't
ultimately.
matter. I agree.
Like it's alpha UEC, it's going to be reset anyways. If people want to cheese it like that, people are going to cheese it.
I agree. And how many people can cheese like that anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Not many.
Okay.
Some of the larger orbs and stuff. Sort of on this note, again, we're harping on about the PvP thing. Captain's Table again dealt with this week, and it was a shenanigans episode with some pretty drunk contributors. Hi, Darsh. I thought it was pretty fun, but it was definitely raucous. And if you're looking for an orderly podcast where people are not talking over each other all the time, this isn't the one. But there were some interesting points that came out of there, I thought. One of them was that the people who expect PvP to remain like it is now, where you just basically hover outside of a station and wait for people to come out and duel you, that's not going to happen. And one of the things I thought that was a good point, and me and Chegg kind of disagree on this one, is that ultimately at some point in the more finished iteration of the game, you're going to have to play the game. You know,
As
like
in
you're
like
not just going to be
PVE
able
to
to
make
engage.
money.
You're not just going to be able to engage in mindless. Well, again, PvP piracy and stuff like that. If that's how you make your money, sure, fine, do it. But like this mindless PvP where you just jump into a fighter and go try to get into a fight, like I don't think that the game is going to be that. You're going to have to
No.
somehow pay for your ship. You're going to have to pay for your weapons. You're going to have to pay for your repairs. You're going to have to pay for your fuel, your ammo, and also if you die, it's expensive.
That's the
So
thing, because if you lose your ships on repeat, well, this is
yeah,
why we disagreed, but in the end, kind of where if bullying is more what I'm I don't even
mm,
looking for, because that's how it works. Like you will group up with one or two or five people, and then you will go to that a
yeah.
bottleneck, and you will wait for someone who cannot retaliate
Well,
because you don't
frankly,
want to risk it.
I think that's piracy. Personally, that
It's
sounds like
piracy. Yeah,
piracy to
it
me.
is piracy.
And like, but that's the thing. You're gonna have to be out there, and you're gonna have to be prepared, or you're
Yeah,
gonna have to be ready to run the fuck away
I
if a bigger stick comes
yes,
through the
and
jump point.
and this is how I feel about it. If you're really good at piracy, even with a small group, you're gonna be okay. I don't think that that will be very common at the beginning when the game releases.
No.
Not when the game releases, when risk becomes a risk. But then
Yeah.
once people have enough resources, regardless of if it's UEC or stolen parts, in the hangar or whatever, or five ships that they can just, while one is being repaired, the other one can do the shit.
Yeah.
Before that happens, it's going to be like a window period where people do a lot of, co-op PV stuff, a little bit of grinding and whatnot. But once you
Yeah.
hit that threshold, or okay, I can self-sustain doing piracy with,
Or you just
accounting
flat
for
out
losses.
figure out a way that works.
Sure, but
Yeah.
then I think
I
you'll
agree
be
with
able
you
to
there.
snowball with that for sure.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Well, I mean, we'll see. But at any rate, like again, like even if you are playing PvP piracy, you're going to have to play the game. You're not going to be able to just mindlessly throw yourself at any red target you see. So
Yeah,
that was something I thought that was kind of an
planning for
interesting.
sure.
The other thing that they talked about, which again was totally like imagination station or imagine kind of territory, they suggested in this episode in the Q&A section that if your character becomes infamous to a point, like if you were somebody who's out there just murdering anybody, and like you were basically racked up a crime stat so high, that you were just like the most deplorable person in the entire universe, that you basically, if you get caught, there's no like going to jail and then getting out. It's like, or maybe if you've been to jail and been released, done the same shit and gone back to jail a certain amount of times or something like that, but they just basically cut scene with you getting executed, and then you have to start as your heir. And
I
I
can see
kind
that. Like,
of
imagine you die in a fight, and they bring you to the nearest hospital, and they're like, "Oh, that's Chris Roberts.
yeah,
You're not getting
yeah,
up, buddy."
no, yeah, they line you up against a wall and they just shoot you right there, and that's like your end cut scene kind of thing. I kind of liked that idea. I think
It's
that
a
would
little
be
bit
pretty
brutal,
epic.
but
A little bit
people
brutal, but
who get to
honestly,
that level will probably be okay with being
exactly.
in the
That
books,
that's
as being
that's
the
kind of what
executed pirate.
that's exactly what they said. They said like if you're a person who is that much of a marauder, like ending your career by execution is just kind of part of the cool factor,
I
like
mean, some of the most notorious pirates in real world, well,
yeah.
whatever tales, were hanged. So
Yep.
proudly, you know what I mean? Like,
There
it's
you go.
yeah,
Yeah. So
it wouldn't
anyways,
go
like I
first.
said, definitely a shit show episode of Captain's Table. I had fun with it. Like if you go into it just kind of allotting for some shenanigans, it can be pretty fun.
Out of
Um,
respect, I will pass my judgment
yes, yes, no, and that's
for
fair.
this
It's
one.
definitely not an episode for everybody.
No,
But yeah, next one was okay, and this at the
this is
time that
amazing.
I found this video, it was a very small channel. A guy named Curious Ant on YouTube, and he put out this video. It was his first video ever on his channel. Obviously seems like kind of a newer player to Star Citizen, and the title of the video is just "What is this game?" And I don't know. It was like it was. I thought it was a really cool, like pretty well shot, like really well edited, actually. Video that shows kind of like the beautiful things about Star Citizen when you're a new player, but at the same time, instead of just being like crazy, like, oh my God, I love this game, it's the best thing ever, like it had like a, the second half of the video was like, but, here's all the weird shit that you encounter kind of in this game. And I thought it was really balanced. And at the time I saw it, it was, I think he had like, I don't know, under 100 subscribers and something like that. But and it has since blown up. But link is in the description, and it's good to watch, especially if you're an old jaded Star Citizen backer. Like it'll give you the
Reliving that, right?
warm fuzzy feels, while at the same time not being just like oh my God, like this guy hasn't seen all the shit that you have to put up with. But yeah, it was really good.
Honestly, this is
Um,
what it's all about, like finding these gems,
yeah, yeah,
However, we you found it, but by the time we were releasing this episode, it
yeah.
kind of blew up, and
It's
I'm
totally
happy to
blown
see
up.
that. Right? That's amazing.
Yeah. So like I said, it was his first video on his channel, and it's already got like 17,500 views. He's up to like 400 subscribers at this point, like
I wonder if
1.7K
someone like
likes on the
Morph
video or something. But
or Yacht Club or someone like brought it up in their streams, and people just
I don't know. I spammed it everywhere when I found it. I was like,
it's
"This
so
is
cool
awesome! Go give this guy some love." And I'm sure a bunch of other people did too,
for
because
sure.
it's ultimately like it's balanced, but it is a feel good video. Go check it out.
Yep,
Throw this guy some more likes and subscriptions. Like I
it's
said, I mean
free
the videos, yeah, and the video is like good to watch too. Like his
yeah,
editing was really really
and
well
it's
done.
not too
So
long, or it's like 12
no, it's only
minutes.
12
So yeah.
minutes. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Um, CIG posted a tweet 2 days ago that only had Origin logo. Is
Lots
this
of
troll or
speculation around
not?
this one.
Because we kind of expect 400i. I expect
Yeah.
it. I know you don't.
No, no, I do.
You
I
do?
just don't think it's gonna like. I think it makes sense. Like for lineup in the Origin
Sure.
ship line. Like I think the 400i makes total sense.
Yeah,
But
from some inside info, I have the loadouts and all that, which again might
mm,
be troll stuff. I don't know. But yeah, for me, I think this is April Fool's joke.
that's
Um,
it. It did happen. To be fair, it did happen a few days before April Fools.
so I'll tell
So
you something. World of
yeah,
Warships. So playing carriers in that game are brutal. Everyone hates them except for me and those who play. I don't play them. I don't like playing against them, but I think they need to be in the game. So so their highest tier of ships is tier 10, and you can't buy tier 10 ships for money, especially not carriers, none. So they made this historically accurate whole video, man, like 5 minutes. It's called Armada and the name of the ship, which is their like special video of tier 10 um premium, which is for real money, uh, carrier made of ice, which is a real thing, like that actually happened, so that thing exists. And then they made
what?
it so you can only hide behind, I don't know, and it came out like 3 days before April 1st, and I don't
Right,
know,
but it
bro.
was okay.
We know that's a troll, so
Could be a troll. It could be a troll. That was my first reaction. Was kind of like it's just too close to April Fools, even though it's a couple days before. Could be a troll.
yeah. I don't know. I want a medium-sized ship as a home, and I still did not find one. So
Yeah.
kind
I
of
just
kind of
hope
want
it
to see
doesn't look
more
like
of
the
it.
400i they showed us, or that was
That's
supposedly
no.
leaked.
I showed you already. That's the yacht that exists. Adacta, I think, is the name.
Is it actually?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
like full
That's
on
good
that
then.
ship. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I was
Um,
pretty sure that was a troll anyways, because it like really doesn't look like any
that
Origin
ship
ship.
does look like that yacht in real life looks like fucking Origin ship. I'll give
I
them that.
guess it
Like,
just
it's
looked really
crazy.
way too impractical
Yeah. Well,
for a Star
it's a
Citizen.
boat.
But yeah. Okay. Good then. Good. Anyways, I think it would be really funny though if they did end up trolling us with the 400i on April Fools, and they're like, "Ha ha ha!" Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean,
Anyways,
it's going to be hard to top the flat moons and planets from last year.
Yeah,
That was
that was
so
really good.
good. Planet Tech
Yeah.
5 or whatever they call it. It was so good.
And if anybody is wondering, yes, April Fools is in lore. It's called Triggerfish.
Yeah.
So expect this sort of stuff around now.
And then we have an
Um,
honorable mention, and this is
yes.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Okay. Okay. So there is a Star Citizen streamer out there named Sigelian. You may recognize him because he was in the costume contest at 2019 CitizenCon. He was the executive. He had the white suit on or whatever, and was all looking all like he was some corporate executive. Anyways, he streams pretty much every day, I think. Really chill stream, good community, pretty much just haul cargo and hang out or whatever. But he started doing a pizza stream on Saturdays. That's kind of been his COVID kind of hobby. He's learned like a bunch of stuff about like making special and really authentic kind of like pizza doughs and stuff like that.
So
So
cool,
on
man.
Saturdays, he's doing this like he's got his whole kitchen set up basically with cams, so you can see him prepping the pizzas and cams for the oven and stuff like that, so you can see the pizzas cooking and stuff like that. And it's really good. And it turns out Segalian lives in my city, so I got to actually have some of his pizza last week, and it
I'm
was
so jealous, man.
ridiculously good. Like it's he did like a Detroit style pizza, so it's like square and kind of deep dish. Oh man, so good, so good. Like this is actually, I'll say this is actually my second time having it. But yeah, like definitely throw this guy a follow. Like I
He
said,
has some
he's
crazy plans as well. You told me, like he's
yeah.
gonna
Oh yeah.
do it live on the that market, or can you explain that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's trying to get to a point with his pizza orders, basically where, and if he hits, I think 30 or whatever, he said that he can afford to basically rent a stall in the Victoria Public Market downtown, and so he'll, probably just like for 1 or 2 days an evening or whatever, he'll go down there and he'll, like I said, be streaming the pizza creation live, and then like selling them kind of like in a stall in the public market, which I think is super cool. Cool guy. I've been on his podcast a couple times. I'm not sure if he's still doing it. He had a talk show for a while.
Man,
Um,
CG like pizza in game is so shit. We
yeah.
can't
Oh
eat
man.
him. They need him as an NPC making pizza, man.
Yeah.
Like that will
Yeah.
be
The
so.
pizza that
In
he
like
makes
area
is
18, one of
not
those
shit.
open, like Kios or whatever. That'd
Yeah,
be perfect, bro.
for sure. But anyways, so
It's so cool.
twitch.tv/Segalian. Link will be in the description.
Of course.
Show this guy some love because he's doing some fun stuff. So yeah.
We're running out of time. We're already 7 minutes late for our prediction or
Yep.
whatever we want goal. Thank you so much for watching us, listening to us. So we do this, and we do Sundays. We do Straight Out of Stanton, which is like 3-4 hour long podcast about many topics. Thank you for
Hopefully less
subscribing.
than 4
if you-
hours. Hopefully
Yeah.
less than 4 hours.
We're
now
trying
that
to tone it down to 3. We're trying
Yeah.
to. We're getting there. We're getting there. If you are subscribed, thanks so much. If you're not, as Matt said, we'd appreciate if you drop it. If you like it, we made it this far.
I have a okay. If you've made it this far, it's my birthday today, bitches. So hit the subscribe button.
It is his birthday. and he's hiding kind of, so this is exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, make Maso happy for his birthday, well, or after. The day after. And yeah. Thank you so much. Well, have a great rest of your week, and see you all either in the verse or Sunday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.